Seattle's rain-slicked streets gleamed under the pre-dawn sky, a city caught between dreams and secrets. At 4:12 a.m., the Mercer penthouse door creaked open, admitting a man who thought he owned the world. Nora Bennett sat at the kitchen table, her pregnant belly pressing against the wood, her fingers resting on an envelope heavier than stone. The divorce petition inside, prepared by attorney Dana Cole, was a map of heartbreak and resolve, its ink smudged by tears but signed with a steady hand. Nora had waited for this moment, not out of weakness, but to see the truth with her own eyes. Trent Mercer, her husband, stumbling home from another night of business that reeked of perfume and betrayal. His hair was mussed, not by wind but by another's hands, his cologne tainted by a floral scent that wasn't hers. She didn't rise or scream. She slid the envelope across the table, her voice calm as a blade. "Read it." Trent's eyes narrowed, his tie loosened, his jacket tossed carelessly over the couch. "What's this, some dramatic stunt?" he sneered, playing the role of a man in control. Nora pressed a button on her phone, and a valet's video filled the room, grainy but undeniable. Trent stepping out of a hotel suite, shirt half buttoned, Sloane Avery's laughter spilling into the frame, her dress askew. The timestamp glowed like a wound. "Last night." Trent froze, his smug mask cracking for a second, revealing a man caught. He lunged for the phone, but Nora pulled it back, her hand trembling but her eyes steady. "So is a marriage," she said. "And you broke it." His Polish vanished, replaced by venom. "You think you can walk away? Pregnant, broke, alone. You'll crawl back, Nora. You always do." But Nora was done crawling. Her overnight bag sat by the door, packed since midnight, tiny socks and soft blankets folded beside prenatal vitamins. She'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, but nothing prepared her for the weight in her chest. "You won't break me again," she said, reaching for her coat. "The doctor's appointment is at 8. You won't be there." Trent smirked, pouring a drink as if the conversation was over. "You won't last a week without me." But before Nora could step into the hallway, a sharp buzz cut the silence. Trent's phone, abandoned on the counter, lit up with Sloane's name, a message flashing, "Last night was unforgettable. Next time, no interruptions." Nora's hand tightened on her bag. For a split second, she imagined smashing the phone, shattering the lie as Trent had shattered their vows. Instead, she turned to him one last time. "I lasted 31 years before you. I'll survive the rest without you." As she spoke, a new voice broke through the dawn. "Nora." Both heads whipped toward the doorway. Gabriel Sterling, billionaire philanthropist and Trent's fiercest rival, stood there, holding out his coat as if he'd been waiting for her all along. In that frozen moment, Trent realized this wasn't the end of his night, it was the beginning of his downfall. Nora Bennett was no headline chaser. A school teacher from Tacoma, she was raised in a modest home by a mail carrier father and a nurse mother, where love stitched every corner of her childhood. She learned early that life wasn't about extravagance but resilience, her father working double shifts through blizzards without complaint, her mother kissing her goodnight despite midnight hospital shifts. Nora carried that endurance into adulthood, believing in sacrifice and protecting those she loved. She met Trent at a school library fundraiser, stacking donated books when he appeared, all sharp suits and boardroom smiles, vice president of Northway Hospitality. His compliment about her kind eyes made her laugh awkwardly, brushing dust from her sleeves. Their romance was a whirlwind. 6 months later, a marriage that felt like a fairy tale written too fast. At first, Trent was attentive, driving her to work, leaving notes on the fridge, promising a future together. He said her compassion grounded him, a balm to his ruthless ambition. But as his career soared, the warmth faded. Dinners became late meetings, vacations became cancelled flights. The man who once held her hand now scrolled emails while she spoke of baby names. Nora believed in patience, in seasons, convincing herself every marriage had its struggles. When she learned she was pregnant, she naively thought a child would tether them again. Instead, pregnancy magnified the cracks, morning sickness that lasted all day, groceries hauled up 3 flights while Trent texted from limousines, waking at 2 a.m. with cramps to an empty bed. He told her she was overthinking, to relax for the baby, leaving her to pray on the bathroom floor, forehead against cool tiles, for her child's safety, even if her heart wasn't. Her friend Priya Shah, a science teacher with blunt honesty, saw the truth. "You're shrinking, Nora," she said over cold tea in the faculty lounge. "You're making yourself small so he won't feel threatened, but he'll take every inch until you're gone." Nora wanted to argue, but the bracelet under the couch, not hers, and the perfume that didn't match her skin weighed too heavily. Worst was the silence in the penthouse, thick as smoke, smothering her. Her doctor, Lena Ortiz, warned stress was poison to a pregnancy, urging calm Nora couldn't find. Then came the valet's video, Trent and Sloane Avery, undeniable, the final chord of her marriage snapping. Yet Nora wasn't just a victim. She packed her bag, folding tiny socks with her teacher's paycheck, choosing dignity over pity. She sat at that kitchen table, remembering the girl who wrote poems in spiral notebooks, worked 2 jobs through college, believed in her students when no one else did. That girl wasn't weak. As dawn broke, Nora walked out of one chapter and into another, not knowing she wasn't alone. Gabriel Sterling, who'd once donated computers to her classroom, had seen the whispers of Trent's affairs. He remembered the teacher who thanked him with a handwritten note signed by every child, not flattery. When he stepped into her life that morning, he wasn't rescuing a damsel, he was recognizing a strength he'd seen long ago. Seattle in winter was a city of contrasts, rain streaking glass towers, ferries groaning across the bay, coffee's warmth on every corner. To outsiders, it was cinematic, to Nora, it was a stage of contradictions. The Mercer penthouse, 32 floors above Belltown, was all marble and floor-to-ceiling windows, designed to impress, not to live in. Its white walls and expensive art suffocated her. From those windows, she saw Pike Place Market, the Space Needle, ferries cutting silver trails, breathtaking to others, a glass cage to her. Trent bought it after a $400 million hotel deal, his victory prize, filled with imported furniture and rare wines. Nora, 6 months pregnant, wandered its cavernous rooms like a ghost. The nursery stood empty, a bare chamber of shadows. Every time she mentioned cribs, Trent waved her off, later, after the gala, after the next deal. But life wasn't later, it was the heartbeat inside her. She whispered lullabies into the echoing air, her baby's kicks reminding her she wasn't entirely alone, even when Trent slept in another's arms. The city's social calendar revolved around glittering nights, charity galas, art auctions, board dinners where fortunes rose or fell with a handshake. The Harborlight Foundation Gala on Pier 91 was the crown jewel, where Trent planned to cement his empire, and Nora would face her marriage's truth under camera flashes. The gala was a marketplace of power, CEOs whispering deals over champagne, politicians smiling too widely, socialites in gowns worth houses. Trent thrived in it. For Nora, it was a battlefield. She'd once helped plan it, arranging student choirs, writing speeches Trent claimed as his own. This year, her name was erased from the lists, replaced by Sloane Avery's, coordinator, PR lead, special advisor. Sloane's face graced press releases, her name on glossy programs, stealing the spotlight of a cause Nora loved, scholarships for underprivileged kids. The invitation on the fridge, embossed in silver, mocked her, February 12th, black tie required. She was meant to stand at Trent's side, a silent prop in a silver gown, but pretending felt like swallowing glass. Seattle's rain deepened her isolation, washing neon reflections into streaky lines. She watched headlights flicker on highways, wondering if those drivers went home to love or lies. Yet defiance flickered. Priya brought curry and laughter, filling the sterile penthouse with warmth. "You don't belong in this mausoleum," she said. Lena Ortiz echoed during checkups, "Stress is your enemy, Nora. You're the heartbeat that matters now." But forgetting wasn't easy when Trent's screen flashed on billboards, magazines, socialite Instagrams, Sloane just out of frame. As February loomed, the gala became inevitable. Nora knew the whispers would start the moment she entered. That's Trent's wife, poor thing, pregnant and abandoned. She'd lived in his shadow long enough to predict the pity. But Trent forgot appearances could deceive. Nora wasn't going as his accessory or victim, but as herself. The city kept moving, rain-streaked glass, ferries hummed, high-rises glowed with stacked lives. Somewhere, fortunes were made, hearts broken. Inside the penthouse, Nora was preparing not just for a gala, but a transformation. The stage was set, Seattle, cold and glittering, a city where ambition devoured softness. The penthouse, a lifeless cage masquerading as success. The gala, a storm ready to expose betrayals under chandeliers. It was the perfect backdrop for a woman's heartbreak turning into reckoning, a husband's empire teetering. When the harbor lights flickered on, Seattle would see not the wife Trent tried to erase, but the woman he could never silence. Trent Mercer learned charm opened doors faster than keys. Raised in a diner smelling of coffee and bleach, counting tips while his mother's hands ached, he understood power by 16. Men in suits ate first, talked loudest, never waited. He vowed to join them, to never smell bleach again. At Northway Hospitality, he kept that vow, climbing to a corner office, performing in rooms that mattered, laughing at the right moments, telling humble stories to win wealthy men. Ambition was his tailored coat, hiding a hunger that turned cruel at home, a fear someone would take what he'd fought for, a belief love was a luxury for winners. Nora loved the boy who made big promises in a small kitchen, but the man he became craved applause over truth. He spoke of square footage and press coverage, not baby names. Families reassure investors, he'd say, the words clanging like a dropped tray. At Northway, he was a prince eyeing a throne, his aging boss and restless board his chance. The gala was his stage, rehearsed in mirrors, his smile practiced to show sincerity, not weakness. He entrusted details to Sloane Avery, a junior PR rep with perfect teeth and a knack for reading rooms. She called him visionary, making him feel taller. He called her a natural, letting her closer than anyone should. Sloane understood Trent because she understood herself, not the smartest, but the most useful, remembering assistants' names, posting photos mid-handshake. She called Nora Queen with a smile, then texted Trent a room number. She craved proximity to power. Trent loved how she made him forget who he was when lights dimmed. In quiet moments, rain-streaking windows, Trent felt doubt. He told himself he deserved more than diner memories and a modest wife, that love shouldn't slow him. Doubt faded with whiskey's sting, Sloane's hand on his shoulder, the thrill of winning. The gala was about charity, he said, but really about proof. He needed the city to bow, the board to choose him over Gabriel Sterling, the billionaire who gave millions without a microphone. Trent called Gabriel a relic, but feared his effortless presence. Gabriel changed rooms without speaking. Trent was neon, hot to the touch, never learning to glow. Behind the speeches, numbers loomed. Galas were costly, image and endless appetite. Sloane's ideas, micro-influencers, content studios, sounded modern, her invoices explained as pilots, handled off-cycle for speed. Trent signed without questions, believing the board would thank him later. He was less careful with Nora, dismissing her as dramatic when she found the bracelet, ungrateful when she questioned late nights. When she placed the divorce papers on the table, he felt insulted, not ashamed. "You need me," he said. "You don't know this world." But Nora knew his world was rented lights, admiration that curdled fast. He didn't see the trap he built, with Sloane's quiet delight, her plans for condos with private elevators, her folder labeled Mercer Q3 for leverage. The night before the gala, Trent stood alone, picturing the crowd, the clink of glasses, the hush before his speech. "I earned this," he told himself, ignoring the divorce papers, the baby, the diner, the woman who once waited with soup. He texted Sloane, "Tomorrow we own the room." She replied with a glittering heart and a hotel selfie. He silenced his phone, practiced his lines, and dreamed of endless applause. Morning brought rain. Nora's closet was half empty, but Trent told himself she'd return. He had a speech, a world to bend. A reporter waited in the lobby with soft questions. Trent flashed his practiced smile. The city spread like a stage as his driver opened the door. His phone buzzed, a text from Sloan, "Small snag, will explain inside." He frowned, smoothed his face, pictured the spotlight. The car turned onto Pier 91, flashbulbs flared, the harbor light sign glittered. Trent stepped onto the carpet, chin high, smiling into the storm he couldn't see. Beyond the lights stood Nora, calm and steady, not alone. The gala was electric, limousines rolling down the pier, velvet and chandeliers transforming a warehouse into opulence. Flashbulbs popped, champagne scented the air, and Seattle's elite sealed deals with nods. Trent arrived, tuxedo sharp, cameras adoring him, investors swarming. Sloan hovered in scarlet silk, a whisper of scandal and ambition, not just an assistant but the secret he flaunted. The night hummed, glasses clinking, gowns rustling, oysters and caviar gliding past. Then, without fanfare, Nora walked in. The room shifted, conversations faltering, heads turning, the orchestra softening. Her navy gown hugged her pregnant form, her face luminous with resolve, not makeup. She wasn't Trent's ornament, she was something stronger. Gabriel Sterling walked beside her, magnetic but not touching, his presence a shield. Cameras snapped, not at Trent or Sloan, but at Nora, the wife they thought had vanished. Trent's mask cracked, disbelief buried under a tight smile. He whispered to Sloan, who grinned like glass. Nora didn't falter, walking the ballroom, hand on her belly, stopping near the stage where Trent's podium waited. Then, Dana Cole emerged, manila envelope in hand. "Mr. Mercer, you've been served," she said, voice cutting through the chandeliers. "Divorce petition, filed and signed." The crowd gasped, silence shattering. Trent's smile faltered, his knuckles white around the papers. Sloan froze, panic flickering before disdain took over. Nora spoke, low but clear, "You told me I'd crawl back. Tonight, I walk forward." Investors whispered, board members stiffened, the press surged. Trent hissed, "You're humiliating yourself." Nora met his eyes, "No, I'm freeing myself." Sloan tried to intervene, her laugh too bright, "This is private." Dana cut in, "Not when donor funds are routed through shell companies tied to Avery Media." The room froze, Sloan's face strained, Trent's jaw tightened, cameras caught the sweat on his temple. Gabriel stepped forward, voice steady, "Transparency matters. If Harbor Light serves children, it cannot be poisoned by corruption." The tide turned. Nora, without raising her voice, became the room's star. Trent tried to recover, forcing a laugh, "Ladies and gentlemen," but no one listened. The narrative shifted. Nora wasn't the abandoned wife or the gala's pity. She was the truth teller, tearing down Trent's facade. The applause began, not for him, but for her, a city choosing a new story. The gala's chaos left Nora trembling, not with triumph but exhaustion. Gabriel helped her into a sedan, Dana securing documents, reporters shouting as the door shut. Inside, silence pressed heavy, the baby fluttering restlessly. Tears stung Nora's eyes, she'd wanted dignity, not a public detonation. Her chest tightened, the world tilting. She woke in a hospital bed, fluorescent lights buzzing, Lena Ortiz's calm face above her. "You fainted, Nora. Blood pressure spiked, but the baby's fine. Rest, not war." Gabriel stood in the corner, sleeves rolled up, concern not pity in his eyes. "You don't have to do this alone," he said. Nora shook her head, tears falling. "I feel alone. In the penthouse, the ballroom, even now. He made me believe I was nothing." Dana set her briefcase down, "You stood taller than ever. This is your body screaming for mercy, not weakness." But Nora felt empty, the hospital room closing in, monitors too loud, her spirit aching. She'd imagined confronting Trent would feel vindicating, not hollow. Alone that night, she stared at her pale reflection in the window, whispering, "What if I'm not enough?" The baby kicked, firm, as if answering. Doubt lingered, Trent's voice haunting, "You'll crawl back." The next morning, Priya burst in with croissants and tea. "You look like a train hit you," she said, eyes soft. "Eat before you disappear." Nora tried to smile, failed. Priya pulled a chair close. "Falling apart doesn't make you weak, it makes you human." Nora sobbed, raw, guttural, for the love lost, the public spectacle, the fear of raising a child alone. Priya held her, rocking her. "Every storm breaks before the skies clear." Gabriel returned, bringing a card from his son, stick figures, childish scrawl, to Miss Bennet and her baby. "You're strong." Something cracked in Nora's chest, not pain but release. Recovery wasn't instant. She drifted between hospital beds and borrowed apartments, avoiding news, Trent denying fraud, Sloane spinning stories, tabloids speculating about Gabriel. A photo of her fainting at the gala, captioned "The Fall of Nora Bennet," churned her stomach. "Maybe he was right," she whispered. "Maybe I'm nothing." But a quieter thought surfaced, or maybe this is the beginning. Curling on the couch, hand on her belly, she confessed, "I'll try for you." The baby kicked, and a seed of strength stirred. Days blurred, Seattle roaring with scandal, Trent's downfall, Sloane's exposure. Nora stayed indoors, sipping weak tea in Priya's apartment, body tender. A knock came one rainy afternoon, Gabriel, rain dripping from his coat, holding a flash drive. "You deserve to know," he said. Sloane's voice spilled from his laptop, sharp and drunk, "He signs whatever I give him. Trent doesn't read half the contracts. They're ours, not his. Harbor Light pays, and no one's wiser. If it blows up, Trent takes the fall." Nora gripped the chair, realizing Sloane wasn't just the mistress but a saboteur, using Trent's ego to siphon money. Gabriel paused the recording. "My investigator got this weeks ago. You can stay silent or expose them both." Fear whispered destruction, but anger rose hotter. Nora had been silenced, diminished, first by Trent, then Sloane. Those scholarships she'd nurtured were tainted. "We don't stay silent," she said. That night, she replayed the recording, Sloane's laugh a cruel echo, Trent's dismissal a fresh wound. He wasn't just a betrayer but a puppet, blind to Sloane's strings. Dana arrived the next morning, pen scratching as she listened. "This is conspiracy," she said. "It sinks them both." Nora felt a shift, not relief, but a weapon, truth sharp enough to cut their lies. Dana filed the documents, and whispers became roars, Sloane under investigation, Trent implicated, donors demanding answers. Sloane panicked, leaving frantic voicemails, "Nora, we've both been hurt." Nora deleted them. Trent doubled down, claiming sabotage, but photos and invoices buried him. The narrative shifted again, not pity, but strength. Nora, the whistleblower, had pulled back the curtain. Gabriel visited one evening, the city humming below. "You turned the story upside down," he said. "You were supposed to be the victim. Now you're the force." Nora exhaled, hand on her belly. "I did it because lies don't define me anymore." Gabriel's gaze softened. "That's why you're winning." Nora smiled, small but real. Weeks passed, labels swirling, victim, fool, survivor. Nora was tired of others' definitions. Healing began in mornings, water before coffee, short walks in the drizzle, reading Emily Dickinson to her baby. She journaled rage, grief, but also gratitude for Priya, Dana, Gabriel. Her spirit mended, her reflection no longer diminished. Priya noticed one morning, folding baby clothes, "You're not lighter, you're stronger. You're not waiting for permission." Nora smiled faintly, "I'm tired of living small to make him big." Gabriel suggested meeting Lena Vargas, a stylist for powerful women. Nora hesitated, fearing a mask, but Lena said, "I reveal armor." They chose navy, emerald, crimson, colors of confidence, not compliance. Lena celebrated Nora's pregnant body, power shows up as it is. Nora practiced posture, walking tall in flats, not for cameras but for herself. The real makeover was mindset. In Gabriel's office, skyline glowing, he said, "You've changed." She corrected, "I'm remembering. I existed before him. I was whole." The words shocked her, true and resonant. News outlets clamored, but Nora chose a non-profit magazine, speaking of students, resilience, thriving over surviving. The article went viral for its humanity, headlines shifting to bravery. Nora attended community events, book drives, literacy nights, cameras following, but she no longer flinched. Sloane's empire crumbled, Trent's clawing grew pathetic. Nora didn't need to act, the truth dismantled them. One evening, in a midnight blue suit, she prepared for a press conference, whispering to her baby, "They thought we'd break, but we're here." On stage, she spoke of integrity, children deserving better than corruption. The applause was respect, not sympathy. Backstage, Gabriel said, "You were extraordinary." Nora smiled, "I was just me." Finally, me. The Harbor Light Board meeting was a showdown, the press circling like vultures. Inside the glass tower, tension crackled, board members nervous, donors rigid, security doubled. Trent sat at the head, tuxedo flawless but face betraying him, jaw clenched, hands twitching. Sloane, 2 chairs away, was pale, her smirk gone. The meeting began with budgets and reports, a polite facade. Then the doors swung open. Nora entered in her midnight blue suit, luminous with gravity, Gabriel and Dana behind her. Trent forced a smile, "Nora, this is a closed meeting." Dana countered, "Not when fraud's on the agenda." Gasps rippled. Nora stepped forward, "You wanted me invisible. You said I wasn't strong enough. Tonight, I stand in spite of you." Trent tried to interrupt, but she silenced him, "You've spoken for years. It's my turn." She faced the board, "You trusted Trent with your mission. He betrayed it, with me, with Sloane, with the children." Dana slid documents across, bank statements, invoices, Sloane's voice, "He signs whatever I give him." The room froze, Sloane's face bloodless, Trent slamming the table, "Lies." Dana shot back, "Your signature's on every one." The board erupted, reporters pressing closer. Nora didn't shout, "For years, you saw me as his accessory. Tonight, see me. I stood by him when he was nothing. He tried to silence me. I won't let Harbor Light die in his corruption." Gabriel stepped up, "Sterling Ventures will match lost donations, but only if Trent and Sloane are severed." The room stilled, salvation with a price. Trent's face contorted, "You can't erase me." Nora's voice was steel, "It was never yours. It belonged to the children." Donors rose, clapping, the board cornered. Votes cast, Trent stripped, Sloane expelled. The true revenge came when Nora faced Trent, "You said I'd crawl back. Look around. You're the one crawling." Cameras caught his humiliation, security escorting him out as he shouted sabotage. The lenses stayed on Nora, the woman who reclaimed her name. Applause swelled, her revenge complete, not destruction, but dignity. Headlines lingered, Trent's exit, Nora's resolve, #Rise Like Nora trending. Women shared stories of betrayal and rebirth. Nora didn't seek a movement, but became one. Healing came in quiet victories, breakfast without tears, folding baby clothes without loneliness, laughing with Priya over silly names. The divorce finalized, fair not lavish, Nora wanted freedom, not tainted wealth. Trent fought, then surrendered, his reputation in ruins. Sloane's tearful videos and podcast pleas evaporated under invoices and recordings. Nora didn't rejoice, their collapse wasn't her victory. Her triumph came on a spring morning, after hours of labor, when she held her daughter, May, tears cleansing, not bitter. Priya snapped photos, crying harder than Nora. Dana brought flowers, soft beneath her sternness. Gabriel entered, hesitant, Cradling May gently, you are already loved. Nora saw not the billionaire, but a man who chose to heal brokenness. Motherhood was sleepless, overwhelming, but never hopeless. May's eyes reminded Nora of her strength. Harbor light flourished under Gabriel, scholarships doubled, Nora an honored guest in simple dresses, May in a sling. Cameras didn't scare her anymore. On her new apartment's balcony, city glittering below, Gabriel brought takeout. You've changed this city, he said. Nora shook her head. I told the truth. He raised his glass, to May, and the woman who showed a city resilience. Nora smiled, the future open. 3 years later, the scandal was a faded tale, Trent a business ethics lesson, Sloane forgotten. May, a lively toddler, was Nora's universe. Nora balanced motherhood with advocacy, speaking at schools about hope. Gabriel remained present, steady, never pushing. He brought gifts for May, who adored him. Friendship deepened into something gentler. One spring evening, after a fundraiser, they stood on a balcony, the city glowing. You were the bravest person I'd ever seen, Gabriel said. Nora smiled, I was terrified. He replied, that's bravery, doing it anyway. She took his hand, steady and true. Her story had circled, not survival, but love built on respect. The truest revenge wasn't bitterness, but a life so full of peace that betrayal lost power. And so, dear friends of Midnight Tales, Nora's journey ends not with a broken heart, but a full one. If her story stirred you, it's because it echoes your own moments of doubt or resilience. Life betrays us, people fail, dreams crumble. But the lesson, as the Stoic Epictetus said, is in our response. We cannot choose our circumstances, but we can choose how we respond. Nora chose dignity, her child, her truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, what stands in the way becomes the way. Her pain became her path, her heartbreak her power. If she found light after betrayal, so can you. Share this story on Midnight Tales with someone who needs to hear they're stronger than they think. Like if you felt a spark, subscribe to Midnight Tales for stories that heal and inspire. Stay strong, and remember, you, too, can rise.